Hi there, welcome to Mountain Class Curriculum Meeting. So this meeting is just a little meeting that will run you through how the year will work, anything you might need to know, and then we'll give you my email address at the end if you have any questions to ask about the day. So I'm just going to share my slides and we can get cracking. Okay, so as I said, this is the Mountain Class Curriculum Meeting for this year, and it will just run you through some details. So I thought we would start with staff. So first of all, my name is obviously Miss Dolling. However, my name will be changing at the end of October. So when the children come back from half term, I will be Mrs. Anderson, because that's COVID depending, hopefully getting married in the October half term. Now, obviously it's taken your children quite a while to learn my name anyway, so it might be nice at home just to prepare them for this. I'm obviously going to be going through it with them in the next couple of weeks, just letting them know what's happening. But yes, if you could just start letting them know that once I come back, I'm going to change to Mrs. Anderson. We then also have Mrs. Sinclair Day, who is the LSA of the class. She's worked in reception for many years as great LSA. And we have Miss Flynn, who is the LSA of a one-to-one. So she works with the child in the class on a one-to-one basis. So routines. At the moment, so these routines have been put in place because of COVID. We come into school via the Mountain Class door, and the door opens at 8:35 and will close at 8:40. Your children will then be collected from the Mountain Class door as well, and I will open the door at 2:50. Some of your children have now been invited to stay a little later if they have siblings in the classes, and they will also still be collected from the Mountain Class door just 5 minutes before their sibling ends school. Any children that are to be collected by a different adult than usual, this adult needs to be put on the collection list. So, for example, say Granny or Auntie might be collecting, let me know, let the office know, and that adult can be put onto the collection list. We can't let a child go if we haven't been told about the adult collecting them. We'll have to call you. So it's easier just to let us know in advance. So obviously school's a little bit different at the moment. We have got new measures put in to protect us from COVID and to help to stop the spread of COVID. Mainly, that is a lot of hand washing. So the children wash their hands on entry to school. So when they come in, they wash their hands. They wash their hands before and after snack, before and after lunch, before home time. If a child is ever seen coughing or sneezing, picking their nose, they are asked to wash their hands too. And obviously after toilet use, we always wash our hands. We've also introduced antibacterial gel into the classrooms, and these can be are used before and after break and on any outside activities. So if they're going outside, they come back inside, they can use the hand gel. If they're going outside, they use the hand gel. As we are in reception touching a lot of things and the children are playing and learning through play, it is really vitally important that we are relying on hand washing as a big part of our COVID measures. So we do a lot of hand washing in class. So other COVID measures we put in place, so resources. So there's limited sharing of the malleable resources. So these are resources which the children touch, any sensory resources. For example, each child has their own bag of Play-Doh, which has been labelled with their name and their picture, and they have now been taught to only use that Play-Doh and to put it away once they have finished, zip their bag up and put it back down into the section. This will help as they're not all touching a big batch of Play-Doh, but they only have their own. Shared resources are cleaned daily, so they are sprayed at the end of each day with antibacterial spray, and every Friday they are given a very deep clean. They are cleaned with sprays and different sorts of products, and then they're left over the weekend, and on Monday morning they are put back. Classroom procedures. So we have a thorough cleaning routine before and after school. Tables are wiped down before school, tables are wiped down after school, and tables are wiped down after the cleaners have been, so in the morning as well. Tables are obviously cleaned before lunch, and as lunch is now eaten in the room, we make sure the tables are completely clear, sprayed down before the children sit down. Toilets are regularly cleaned, communal areas in the school. For example, when we do PE in the hall, there is only one class in the morning, one class in the afternoon, and in between that, the hall is cleaned, a deep clean, so that all the resources, all the floor, etc., has been cleaned, so that can stop any spread between bubbles. Reception classes do not mix indoors, so our door is closed, mountain class stay in our class and river class stay in their class. Outside, the children are mixing, but that is an outside environment, so it's much safer. And social distancing of adults where possible. So adults in the classroom stay 2 meters apart pretty much at all times. So those are our COVID measures. So PE days. So obviously, your children the children in the school used to come in their school uniform and change for their PE lesson and then get back into their school uniform afterwards. But because of COVID and the necessity that in reception we would need to be touching the children in order to take off jumpers, take off trousers, because they're not yet able to fully dress themselves, we have now decided that PE kits will be worn all day. So our PE day for this term is a Tuesday, and children will come into school on a Tuesday in their PE kit. If you need to know the colour of your shirt, please do email the office. They'll be able to tell you if you need a red, green, blue or yellow shirt. They need to have black shorts or bottoms, a plain jumper and trainers. We do ask for black shorts and bottoms. Please do not bring a child in grey, and a plain jumper would be great. We may have PE outside from time to time, so also please do bring in suitable clothing for your child. So that might be a thick coat or a jumper. We don't want to be sending them outside in plimsoll, so trainers are preferable for the day. So that's, once again, PE is on a Tuesday, and they will be coming into their classes in their PE kit and then going home in their PE kit. There will be no changing involved. Okay, so Google Classroom. Now, I know details have been sent out for the Google Classroom, and I would ask you all to try and get onto the Google Classroom. And if you cannot get onto Google Classroom, please do let the office or myself know, and we will help you. Your details should have been sent out. The Google Classroom will be used for any children self-isolating or distance learning. We will upload on a weekly basis, and it will include phonics, maths, writing to do each day, and then we will reflect on the learning in class. Teachers will feedback when the child returns to school, so there will be no feedback via the Google Classroom, but when we get back to school, we'll be able to talk to your child about their work. It will also be used for home learning. So any home learning will be shared on Google Classroom. Adults to submit the child's learning online, and we also have an expectation that children to be read to once a day at home. The due date for the home learning will be on the assignment. And if you make a model, etc., or anything we ask you to do for home learning, please do take a picture and rather than bring it into school. So that's the Google Classroom, and that will be used for self-isolation or distance learning and any home learning that we may set throughout the year. So trips. Unfortunately, trips aren't able to take place at the moment, but as soon as we can't wait to return to normal practice, and take your children out is a vital part of education. So we're looking forward to being able to do that again. Lunches. So if your child is having a packed lunch, just remember it's healthy, no nuts, we're a nut-free school, no chocolate, including chocolate spread, and no fizzy drinks, please. Just healthy foods, fruits, sandwiches, cheese, anything like that you can give them, but please no chocolate or chocolate spread or fizzy drinks. In terms of toys, a few children have been bringing in toys from home. Now, while I love seeing the toys that the children have in home and how excited they are to bring them in and share them and play with them, we please do ask that the toys are not brought into school. It isn't that we don't want to see them, it's just that they can cause a bit of a problem. All the children want to play with it, and it could get broken or lost, and then your child will be very upset. So please do just talk to your child about not bringing in toys to school. We have lots and lots of things for them to play with, lots of new things we are adding each day, things we're taking away, changing the environment, so they have lots to do at home, at school, and those toys should stay so that they can play with them at home. Another thing we just wanted to let you know is obviously a lot of the learning that we do in reception is active. We use a lot of different resources and materials to create and explore. Unfortunately, this does mean that the uniforms get a little mucky. But as teachers, we believe that that shows the child has been engaged in learning in activities. For example, examples might be food. They are trying really hard to feed themselves, care for themselves. We want them to be independent when it comes to opening things and eating things, so they might get that on themselves. They're beginning to mark, make and write, so they can often have pens or chalk or whiteboard marker on their tops. We're outside a lot of the time. The door is open throughout the day. The children have the opportunity to come in or out, and being outside really does help to build their physical skills. However, being outside also does come with the risks of rain and mud, so children can get a little muddy, especially in the mud kitchen, which helps them develop their imagination and language. But as you can imagine from the name, the mud kitchen is quite muddy, and that could end up on them. And playing in the water tray, although they could get really wet, does help as they explore maths and science in there. And we also love getting creative. So there might be paint, glitter, glue, or other decorations on our uniforms. But yeah, I would suggest, we always do make them wear an apron during creative, but sometimes obviously this can't be helped. During water play, we try and make them wear an apron too, but sometimes it can't be helped. I would suggest, maybe for outside for the mud kitchen, getting a puddle suit or a rain suit of some sort to keep in school is a great idea. We can put that on them before they go out, and then they are completely dry and completely clean when they come in, and there is no need to change them. But yes, we do get a little bit mucky, but in our opinion as teachers, that's what's great about the early years. That shows them engaged in learning. So maths. This term in maths, we're looking at subitizing, which is just recognizing how many objects there are without counting. So if I did that, or you did that to your child, can they tell you that there is 4 without having to count 1, 2, 3, 4? We're counting and recognizing numbers to 10 and numerals. So the written number, can your child recognize 1 to 10? We're identifying more or less between 2 groups. So this group has 3, this group has 6. Which group has more? Can your child do that? And we will be going on to recognizing, creating our own patterns. So that is what we'll be working on at maths. And if you can also reinforce that at home, that would be great for our maths lessons and learning. Phonics. Now, phonics is vitally important. Phonics is how children learn to read and write. There will be daily 10 to 15 minute sessions every day, and these follow the same pattern time and time again. At the moment, we are going through phase 1, which is all about developing their speaking and listening skills. We focus on listening to the sounds around us. What is good listening? How do we listen? Can we listen to sound instruments? Can we listen to body sounds? Can we make beats and rhythms? Can we listen to rhyme, alliteration? All these things fall into phase 1, but we will also begin building on segmenting and blending skills. So can they hear the sounds in words like mum? Can they hear the mum? That is made up of 3 different sounds. They might not know the names of those sounds, but can they actually hear those sounds? That's what we'll be completing and trying to do before half term. And then we'll be going on to phase 2, which will be following introducing a sound a day and working on that sound. And we will be covering letters and sounds introduced at one time through a set programme. Reading is also vitally important. I'm a firm believer that those that read learn to write quicker and better. So reading in school, children enjoy at least 1 picture book a day with us. Usually those are books that the children can join in with, that they learn, that they love to read, to listen to look at the pictures. We will be beginning to practice independent word recognition when we start to learn our sounds in phase 2 phonics, and we will be sending out reading books later in the term once we've started phase 2 phonics, and the expectation is that those reading books do get read at home once every night when they are sent out. So at the moment, reading at home, ideally your child should be hearing and talking about at least one picture book a day with someone at home. So grab a bio or take a few picture books and then read them, talk about the story with your child, what did they like about it, what didn't, what were the characters, what happened, and all that conversation about reading is what's going to make them, once we start reading our reading books in phase 2, into great understanders of books. Reading journals, we're beginning. Reading journals your child be reading anything that can be. It can be a recipe, it can be a poem, it can be a book, it can be a magazine, and they need to complete a task of their own in their reading journal, and we will share them on a Friday. I will go through with the class some examples, so please do not worry, and we will work on the first few sections together, and then they will be sent home. If they're not completed, the children will be given the weekend to catch up, but then if they're not completed by the following Monday, they may be asked to complete them at lunchtime. So these do need to be completed every week with some sort of reading that's happening at home. So our curriculum follows the Development Matters framework. You can find this by typing in Development Matters framework online. The main areas are personal, social, emotional development, communication and language, physical development, literacy, maths, understanding the world, expressive arts and designs. It will follow all 7 categories, and we will plan our learning around those categories. So one day we might do a small session based on understanding the world. The next day we might do PE, which links into physical development. A lot of their learning, though, is seen through child-initiated learning, where they choose what they want to do, and we have set up activities where adults can then intervene to try and further their learning. So, dates for your diary. Parents' evening, week beginning Monday the 23rd of November. This year, meetings will take place via Google Meets, which will be a video chat, and you will need to book your slot in advance. Please do remember to do this before the deadline. And more information on this will follow shortly. You can do a phone call if you want, but we really would prefer Google Meets, as it is much more like a normal parents' evening. But that's the week beginning the 23rd of November, and more information will follow on that shortly. So last things last, my contact email address. So admin@leavesden.education is the school office, and mine is idolling@leavesden.education. That's idolling@leavesden.education. Let me just stop sharing. So please do contact me if you have any questions or any emails. Thank you so much. Bye.